Hi neighbors, this is Jessica in Communications for the City of Battle Creek, and this is the City Commission regular agenda preview for Tuesday, September 5th. If you're new to these preview videos or need a reminder about the different parts of our agendas, check out the link to our introduction video down in the description box. You can follow along with the agenda on our website, battlecreekmi.gov. If you visit the Your Government tab, Mayor and City Commission, then Agendas, Minutes, and Videos, you can click under Online Agenda for the date of the agenda you want to see. The regular City Commission meeting starts at 7 p.m. in the Commission Chambers at City Hall. That's up on the 3rd floor. And this is another big and interesting agenda, so let's get right into it. The Commission will present 3 proclamations Tuesday night. First, recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th. The second is a certificate of recognition for Dale Jaminder, the longtime executive director of Access Vision here in our community. He will retire in September, and we definitely all wish him well and thank him for his service to the community. The third is a proclamation that recognizes National Diaper Need Awareness Week, which is September 18th through 24, and it encourages diaper drives and other actions to make sure that families can provide enough diapers to keep their young children clean, dry, and healthy. The Commission will hear one presentation on Tuesday, and that's the quarterly discussion of our interim financial statements, this time through June 30th, and these are presented by Revenue Services Director Aaron Kuhn. There's one public hearing scheduled, and that's to hear public comment about the draft 2023 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, and you'll hear that called the CAPER. This is a required report, and it gives details about our accomplishments with the Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Program. These are federal housing and urban development programs that address housing needs for low and moderate income neighbors. The Commission will consider adopting 2 ordinances, and both of these were introduced at the August 15th City Commission meeting. The first would revise our urban livestock ordinance to allow neighbors inside the city limits to keep honeybees, ducks, and quail. And the second ordinance would remove a chapter for a Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, a board that was originally established in the 1970s and which has not been active for over 25 years. Moving on to our consent agenda for September 5th, it includes minutes from previous meetings, the city manager's report for the evening, and resolutions 224 to 233. And here's a quick rundown of what those will consider. 224 would consider appointing 1 member to the Urbandale Neighborhood Planning Council. 225 would consider appointing 14 members to the Mingus Brook Riverside Neighborhood Planning Council. And this would be the first action to get this MPC, number 11, going again since the COVID-19 pandemic hiatus. 226 and 227 would consider the sale of city-owned vacant properties, one near Huber and Hillsdale Streets, and the other near Grand Avenue between West Michigan Avenue and Van Buren Street. 228 would consider an increase in spending on the 5th and final year of our current contract with CityWorks, and that's a software we use primarily in public works to keep track of service work orders and the inventory of all our assets like fire hydrants, pipes, and manholes. The increase would be from $48,460 to $81,960, so that our IT department could add some automation and online forms for services, including neighbors wanting to connect to the city water and sewer systems. So this would add some conveniences and efficiencies to make this software work better for you and for us. 229 would consider amending the contract between the city and Consumers Energy so they can remove 2 streetlights on Cherry Street. The city abandoned this street in the early 2000s, and it's now church property, and the church has requested that the streetlight poles be removed. 230 would consider a quitclaim deed for a neighbor to purchase a property on Wilds Avenue from the Battle Creek Housing Commission. This is a property the city currently owns, which is managed by the Housing Commission. And the commission then finds purchasers for these types of properties who qualify to purchase through various government programs that are related to low-income housing. 231 would consider an easement agreement with Consumers Energy on 2 city-owned properties at the airport along South Airport Road so that Duncan Aviation can relocate some electrical gear as part of their ongoing expansion project. 232 would consider the city's support to Battle Creek Unlimited applying to the State Department of Labor and Economic Opportunities Michigan Community Center Grant Program. This application would be for funding to renovate the Kendall Center downtown to create a community food hub where partners could create programming that focuses on neighbor health and wellness. And 233 would consider payment of a little over $58,000 for the city's share in developing a housing plan for the community with other local stakeholders, and this would address the growing need for all types of housing in Battle Creek at multiple price points. And finally, we have the regular resolutions, numbers 234 to 242. Reso 234 would consider updates to the city fee, bond, and insurance schedule, specifically for the building permit cost changes. At the August 15th City Commission meeting, the Commission adopted a value-based fee structure, moving away from the previous square foot model. And among other reasons, some of the goals of this change allow fees to line up better with the value of a project, make the fees more equitable, like making it less of a financial burden for small developments, and be comparable to other local governments. Reso 235 would consider the best value proposal for a swimming pool chlorinator system for Flash Flood Water Park at a cost of $103,616. Reso 236 would consider a 6-month extension on the special use permit to allow a child care center for up to 50 children at 200 Capitol Southwest. This is part of a larger mixed-use housing project, and the property owner applied for state funding but did not receive it earlier this year. They're applying for the next round of state funding, and if they receive it, they'll then have the money they need to finance this project. And the permit extension from the city would show support for the child care center as part of the overall project. Reso 237 would consider the Cool Family Community Center at 200 West Michigan Avenue as our early voting site. This would meet all the requirements for an early voting location that is accessible to the community, and we're going to be sharing a lot more information about early voting and all the processes and requirements in the coming months and into 2024, so please stay tuned for all of that. Reso 238 would consider appointing officer and employee delegates from the city staff to attend the annual Municipal Employees Retirement System meeting in late September. Reso 239 is pretty cool. It would consider an agreement with a company called Power Grazers to try out sheep grazing as a way to maintain the plants at 6 storm ponds that the city owns and or maintains. And those are on South 20th Street, La Vista and Arbor Street, Beachfield Drive, Columbia Avenue, the Mercy Pavilion area owned by Bronson Battle Creek Hospital, and East Columbia owned by the Blackmore Drain Drainage District. More to come on this project too, as we get that going. Reso 240 would consider an easement agreement with Summit Point because when Summit Point took ownership of the property at 155 Garfield Avenue in April, they found out that the driveway that serves that property is actually on city-owned property next door at 160 Brook Street. Reso 241 would consider payment of just under $143,000 for extra work needed on our Lakeview Storage Building project after crews found a structural emergency in rotted columns that needed replacing. This is an ongoing project that was approved in February to make some much needed upgrades to our building on 20th Street behind Fire Station number 4. Our water division uses this building for work, equipment, and supplies in this part of town that help us maintain the water system in this area. And Reso 242 would consider accepting a Federal Emergency Management Agency Fire Prevention and Safety Grant for $85,490, and that will help our fire department provide neighbors with smoke alarms, carbon monoxide alarms, and include devices for neighbors who are deaf or have hearing impairments. And that is everything on the agenda for September 5th, the regular City Commission meeting. For more information and to see more detail and documents related to each of these agenda items, please check it out online, or you can get a paper copy in the City Clerk's office at City Hall. Thanks for joining me for this City Commission agenda preview for September 5th, 2023. Watch the City Commission live or as replays on the City of Battle Creek, Michigan YouTube channel, and get connected with your City of Battle Creek.